Welcome back from that short break. In case you're just joining us, this is the News International Edition, and we're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. Now heading to France, cleanup crews are at work in Nanterre, west of Paris, following a second night of clashes after the killing of a 17-year-old boy, Nahel M., who was shot in the chest at a point-blank range on Tuesday in Nanterre, in an incident that has reignited debate in France about police tactics long criticized by rights groups. Speaking at a meeting with ministers in Paris, President Emmanuel Macron said that overnight clashes in which cars were set ablaze and police attacked with fireworks were unjustifiable.
Nahel M, 17, was shot in the chest at direct range in the Paris suburb of Nanterre on Tuesday in an incident that has reignited debate in France about police tactics. Cars and bins were torched in parts of Paris and nationwide overnight, and protesters launched fireworks at riot police, who fired flashball projectiles. A tramway was set alight in a Paris suburb. "We are sick of being treated like this. This is for Nahel. We are Nahel," two young men calling themselves Avengers as they wheeled rubbish bins from a nearby estate to a burning barricade in the capital. Branding the overnight clashes unjustifiable, President Macron told a crisis meeting of ministers that the coming hours and afternoon march in memory of Nahel in Nanterre should be marked by contemplation and respect. Macron urged calm after 150 people were arrested and public buildings attacked in protests over the police killing of the teenager that has incensed France.
Des scènes de violence contre commissariats, mais aussi des écoles, des mairies, et donc au fond contre.
The last few hours have been marked by scenes of violence against police stations, but also schools, town halls, and therefore basically against institutions and the Republic. And this is absolutely unjustifiable. And I want to thank all those who, during the night, as they did yesterday, worked to protect these institutions and restore calm. So for me, the next few hours must first of all be a time of recollection and respect. And it is under this sign that the tribute march must take place. Then, of course, the protection of all places and institutions. The riots are deeply troubling for Macron, who had been looking to move past a half year of sometimes violent protests over his controversial pension reform. The teenager was killed as he pulled away from police who tried to stop him for traffic infractions. A video circulating on social media and authenticated by AFP showed two police officers standing side by side of a stationary car, with one pointing a weapon at the driver. A voice is heard saying, "You are going to get a bullet in the head." The police officer then appears to fire as the car abruptly drives off. Clashes first erupted as the video emerged, contradicting police accounts that the teenager was driving at the officer. On Thursday, a prosecutor said the police officer's use of his firearm did not meet the legal conditions under which such force can be used. Interior Minister Gerald Damanin wrote on Twitter that the violence was intolerable. Near the scene of Nahel M's killing, masked demonstrators dressed in black launched fireworks and firecrackers at security forces. A thick column of smoke billowed above the area, where journalists saw more than a dozen cars and garbage cans set ablaze and barriers blocking off roads. France is haunted by the prospect of a repeat of the 2005 riots, sparked by the death of two boys of African origin during a police chase, during which 6,000 people were arrested. Last year, 13 people were killed after refusing to stop for police traffic checks, with a law change in 2017 that gave officers greater powers to use their weapons, now under scrutiny.
Now, away from France, let's head over now to Boston in the United States, where there's been a recap of such operations for the Titan sub, as experts have recovered presumed human remains from what is left of the sub that imploded during a dive to the Titanic wreck, with the death of 5 people, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. We looked at the recap of the search operations for the Titan sub. Experts have recovered presumed human remains from what is left of the Titan sub that imploded during a dive to the Titanic wreck, with the death of 5 people, the U.S. Coast Guard said on Wednesday. United States medical professionals will conduct a formal analysis of presumed human remains that have been carefully recovered, the agency said. On board were British explorer Hamish Harding, French submarine expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet, Pakistan-British tycoon Shahdazi Dawood and his son Suleiman, and Stockton Rush, CEO of the sub's operator Ocean Gate Expeditions. They presumably died instantly when the Titan sub, about the size of an SUV car, imploded under the crushing pressure of the North Atlantic at a depth of more than 2 miles. Mangled debris recovered from the small submersible was offloaded earlier in the day in eastern Canada, bringing to an end a difficult search and recovery operation. The debris will now be taken aboard a U.S. Coast Guard cutter to a U.S. port for further analysis, the organization said. Television images showed what appeared to be the Titan sub's nose cone and a side panel with electronics and wires hanging out being hoisted from a ship onto a flatbed truck at a Canadian Coast Guard terminal in St. John's, Newfoundland. Pelagic Research, the New York company that owns the Odysseus remote-operated vehicle used in the search for the ill-fated submersible, says its offshore search and recovery operation has wrapped up. Canadian officials declined to comment on the recovery of the sub debris. Titan was reported missing on June 18th, and the U.S. Coast Guard said last Thursday that all 5 people aboard the submersible had died after the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion. The Coast Guard has launched its highest level of probe, called Marine Board of Investigation, into this incident. And that's all the international news we had for you this afternoon. We'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thank you for watching and have a good afternoon.
Urban Life.